Hello, my name's Sue. I work at Cambridgeshire Library. Today I want to show you a craft called quilling. Another name for it is paper filigree. It dates right back to the 15th century when nuns used to use it to decorate religious objects to make them look more ornate, because they were very poor, but they wanted things to look more precious than they were. But for our purposes we're calling it quilling, and I'm going to show you the basics that you need to do this craft, and then a project that we can do that I can show you how to do today just to get you started. Okay, so equipment. We'll start with the papers. And the papers that you need, or the papers that you can get hold of, are 2mm papers, which are very thin and quite fiddly to use, but they do make some lovely pictures. 3mm, which is the most common, and that's what we'll be using today. The 5mm and a 10mm paper. The bigger papers tend to be used for things you can make mobiles, things like that, and also with the bigger papers, things can be freestanding. So they're quite good for Christmas decorations on Christmas tree with the bigger ones. But for today, we're going to be using the 3mm paper. So that's the paper. The next thing you need are quilling tools, which come in all shapes and sizes. You've got wooden ones, metal ones, plastic ones. And then depending on the size of paper you're using, you buy the appropriate one for that paper. So we have a plastic one here that's designed to use the wider paper. It's difficult to show you on the camera, but they've all got slots in the top here like this, where the paper sits. This is for a smaller one and so on. That's it really, that's the tool. The plastic tools you can pick up for under £2. There's a really good websites for quilling. If you Google quilling, you'll find that there are sites that are just dedicated for quilling. And you can buy everything, your papers and tools and so on. Next thing you're going to need is a cocktail stick. And the cocktail stick is to apply the glue. What I do is I squeeze a bit of the glue onto a piece of glass that I have here, like glue, but you only need a tiny amount, so hence the cocktail stick. So that's for the glue. And what we're going to attempt to do today is this. Just a simple flower, and I'm going to show you how to make this shape for the leaves and the petals and the centre like this. Oh, I should have mentioned the other thing you need is a good pair of scissors like this, little craft scissors with a nice pointy top like that. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is to get one of your papers. They are about 30, I think they come in about 38cm lengths. And in order to get equal sizes of petals, you need to have the same length of paper for every petal that you make. So, you fold the paper in half like this. And I'm just going to snip it there. You've got your two there, and then from one strip of paper you can probably make 4 petals depending on the size. Next thing is to get your quilling tool and slot your paper into the top of the quilling tool like that. It just slots in and holds at the top, and then you keep your finger resting on top like this. Curl the paper round And then just keep twiddling like this until it's all rolled up to the end. And then slip it off your tool like that. I'm going to put it on the table and you'll see that it lets itself out, rolls itself out like this. And then pick it up. This is when you need to get your little bit of glue like this. On the very end piece, you put a tiny dab of glue like that. Fold it down. Just hold it for a couple of seconds until it's properly in place. Now, to make the shape of the petals in the picture, like this, you see it's like a teardrop. So you take your piece of paper and you just squeeze it one end, like that. And that's how you end up with the petal shape, like this. And you keep making them until you need 5 for the flower, which I've got my piece of paper ready here, and I've got 5 petals which we're going to put together as the flower. We need a centre for the flower as well, like this one here. Now to do that, take your piece of paper, and again about the same length as you had for the petal. It's about 1/4 of a piece of the full length strip. And take your quilling tool, slot it in and roll it up again like this, right to the end. And this time, slip it off your tool. This time you don't let it go, you don't let it relax. And little piece of glue on the end. Press it down, just hold it for a couple of seconds. Like that. Yep, I'm stuck down. And then that's the centre of your flower. And it will go in the middle. The next thing you need to make is the stem for the flower. That can be as long as you want it. Do it there. And to make that one work, we'll be gluing along the edge here. So we get that piece together. And then you need to make a couple of leaves as that I've got here. Again, we'll just cut a couple of pieces off. Don't have to be too accurate about it. And we're going to move those out of the way a bit. We're going to roll this up as we did before. Roll it up to the end. Take it off. This time we are going to let it unfurl a bit. Depending on how tightly you roll it or how loosely you roll it, the bigger, when you relax it, the bigger it will be. Now we're going to put a bit of glue on the end of that one. Like that. Press that down into place. Just hold it for a few seconds. There we go. And this time we want to make it more of a leaf shape. So if you go to press both ends in like that, so that you end up with that shape like that. and that would be one of your little leaves to go on, like that. Right, and then it comes to assembling your flower. The first thing, the easiest way to do it is if you stick down the middle first. So we'll put some glue on that. This is when tweezers can be a good idea. You can get a little bit fiddly. So you stick your middle down, and then you start positioning your petals. So we'll stick one down so that we can see where we are. Don't know why I keep moving. Right, let's put some glue on the back of that. You don't need too much, just enough to stick it to the card. And then push that down in place, like that. Then you get your next one. Push that across the back. Put that one in place. And you can start to see your flower coming to life. Put the glue on the back of that one, like that. Nearly there. Oops, put that one down there. Like that. And the last one. Goes in place. Like that. So you start to get your flower. The stem, as I said, is going to need a bit more glue. The stem is just glued along the edge, a little bit fiddly, and this is where tweezers can come in handy. You hold your piece of paper like this, and get your glue, and just a little dab here and there down the edge. Like that. And then let's have it coming down. Like that. And we'll have it coming round and maybe coming back in here, like that. And just hold it down for a few seconds, and then it stays in place like that. And then you can start to put your little leaves in place. So I've just got this one here, so we'll pop that in place. More glue. That can go there. Like that. So, and then you could make a bigger one to go at the bottom there, but that's how you start to build up a picture of the flowers like this. You can make so many different shapes as well. I've just shown you two very basic shapes today, but there's other shapes that you can do. I can quickly show you one here. So you roll up and you just roll and let it out like this. Sorry, yeah. And you can roll the other end the same way. And this is called, these particular shapes are called scroll work. So you end up with a shape like this. You can actually make a really pretty picture with these scrolls. You can have them going in and out of each other and so on. They can also be added to flowers. You know, you could actually stick it in there and have a bit here, and then maybe another one here, and all that starts to build up the picture. So that's very basically quilling. I can show you the sorts of things that can be made. I mean, this one here is a little mouse, and that's using the petal shape that I showed you here. And these the ears are using much shorter pieces of paper to make much smaller, but again the same sort of shape, to make its ears. This is the tail, is just how I showed you to do the stem here, and then the eye is what we did for the middle of the flower here. So that's the mouse. Then you can start to see there's this one here. Again, the flower, but the petals were made this time by making them into this half circle shape, which is quite easy to do with the petal with the paper when you get it off the tool, to do that. The centres again are just rolled up bits of paper with that, but no, not letting them go. And then when you get more practice, there's the other things that you can make. This one here, for example, again, it's using all these basic shapes that I've just shown you. The teardrop, the shape that I explained for the leaves. You make a big butterfly here. I made this as a card. People love getting homemade cards, so and quilling lends itself to this really well. That's a card. Another one I made here is a gift tag for a present, and you can see I've snipped these to make them give them a fringe. And what you do is you use the slightly wider paper and snip all the way along, and then roll it up, and that's how you get this effect. And then this is the scroll work that I showed you just now with the yellow paper. So that makes a really nice effect. And then when you get very clever, you can start to play around with all sorts of things. This is again the fringing and scrolling. And the last one I'll show you is this one. Now this one I made 3D by putting one flower on top of another, and I put a little bead in the middle. So once you've learnt the basics of this, you can really start to have fun with it. So hopefully I've shown you enough here to get you interested, and have a go, and get checking, as I say, the websites. If you do a Google search for quilling, you will find some really useful websites. So have a go, and have fun. Okay, bye bye.